Hey guys, welcome back. Today Kasey is going to talk through conceptual grading and the items that we would want to include on a conceptual grading plan. This is going to be done in the very early stages of a project, so it's very simple, but let's learn how to do that.
What's going on, everybody? It's Kasey again. I'm back to show you guys how to do a conceptual grading plan using a specific process that we've developed to do really quick, fast, preliminary conceptual grading plans. So we're going to go ahead and run through that process. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to create a feature line around the edge of the property line using an existing surface. We're going to draw in a single contour around the building and set it at the FFE of the building, and then we're going to use some blocks to place rough estimates of elevations at different points, and then those three things are going to allow us to do a really quick preliminary takeoff later on down the line, which we'll go over in another video. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to start by isolating our property line. We're going to start by isolating our contours and then creating our surface. So we're going to go to Surfaces, Create Surface. We're going to go ahead and let me just double check that our styles are in here. And they're not, so we're just going to go ahead and open our CVLX support, ACAD. We're going to drag and drop our styles file in here just to get our styles imported. Just click that a bunch of times. Okay, style should be in here. I'm going to go ahead and run civdim, civmls, civlay standard just to get all of our layers, our dimension styles, and our multi-liter styles imported in here. We're going to go ahead and run CSG to get back to our grading plan. Same thing, we're going to isolate our contours using the ZX command, and then we're going to create a surface. So create surface. Surface layer is going to go on our existing surface layer, which is going to be CZ10 existing surface. Press OK. All right, we're going to change our style to CVLX EG, and then we're going to name it EG. Cool. Press OK. Surface is made. And then over in our tool space, which is in my other monitor, I'll drag that over. You can see I'm going to go to Surfaces, EG, definition, and then I'm going to click Contours, and I'm going to click Add. Press OK. I'm just going to move this out the way again, back to my other monitor, and I'm going to grab all of our contours and then hit Enter. That's going to add that in. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our surface layer just so you can see. Boom, there's our surface, which is great. We're going to go ahead and go back to our grading layer. We're going to isolate our property line, and then we're going to offset that by 2 feet. This is going to be what we're going to use as our feature line. We've got a video on making feature lines already. We're just going to run through that process super quickly again to show how we're going to make it. So we're going to put that on the 0 layer. We're going to turn on our surface just so you can see the surface and what we're doing. We're going to go to feature line. We're going to click Create Feature Line from Objects, select that polyline that we just created. All right, and then we're going to click Assign Elevations, press OK. We're going to do it from our surface that we just created, so select EG, then press OK. So now this polyline is now a feature line. Drag our properties pane over here. As you can see, this is a feature line instead of a polyline. And what this does is it assigns an elevation at each one of these little circles. There's an elevation associated with each one of those circles along the entire length of this feature line, as opposed to one elevation being representative of the entire polyline, like how most polylines are. If I draw a polyline, click on it, I'm going to drag our properties pane back over. There's an elevation property, and that's going to be the elevation of the polyline along the entire width of the polyline. But if we turn it into a feature line and then make it have elevations referencing our existing surface, now we've got a differing elevation at each one of these different nodes. So we've got our surface, or excuse me, our feature line created. So we're going to use the feature line, and we're going to use these blocks. We've got this block right here. If I click on it, again, I'll drag the properties pane back over and named C2 contour label. This is compatible with the BLF command, which I'll show you here in just a second. But this is a super useful block to use for conceptual grading plans. So we're going to do our feature line based off our existing grade, and then we're going to assign the final floor elevation of the building. So we're just going to go ahead and draw a polyline that wraps around the entire width of the building, excuse me, the entire perimeter of the building. And then we're going to throw this on one of our contour layers. This is how we're gonna assign the final floor elevation of the building. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw this all the way around the edge. Okay, all the way to here. Looks pretty good to me. Doesn't have to be super accurate, as long as it's close enough for these FFE. FFE contours, just gonna take it to here. Right, and then we can do C, enter to close it. Right, and then we're just gonna, I'm gonna look at the side a little bit and see what FFE we're gonna want to put everything on. So along the length of this feature line, we don't want to change the elevation at all. We want to leave that at whatever the existing grade is. So probably what we'll do is we'll have this guy slope up a little bit more on this drive, maybe be a little bit steeper right in this area, closer to 10% or 5%, so that it flattens out here. We don't want to have a wall here, but if we did need a wall, we have space for it along the top here and not really along the bottom. So I'm thinking we're going to set our FFE probably, it's going to need to be higher than the surrounding area so that all the water drains away from the building. So just thinking about this, we're at 1056 along this top edge. So this might be this might be kind of a low point right in here between 1056 and whatever our elevation is. So we might set this guy at about 1054. So that gives us about 18 feet to drop to a 1053. So that'd be dropping 3 feet over 18 feet, which would be 15%, which is a little steep. That's a little steeper than we want. So maybe if we drop 2 feet so that we're at roughly 1054. So we're just going to go ahead and copy this block over and start throwing around some elevations and moving around and seeing if we can get it to make sense. And then we'll set our FFE and wrap it all together and generate our proposed surface. So we'll be at 56 here along the edge. So we're probably going to want to have our FFE, or excuse me, we're not going to be able to raise the whole site up enough where everything's going to be sloping down this way, so it's obviously going to be sloping back down this way. So we'll probably want to throw this at, let's say, 55. Right in here, and that gives us 35 feet to the building. So if we put the building up at 56, we'd have 1 foot over 35 feet, which would be about a 2-3% slope, which is perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead and set our building FFE at 1056 for now. Might change later. We're going to go ahead and throw it on the correct layer, which is going to be CS Topo Minor 2. Okay, so there's our building FFE. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a block just to label it so I can look at it and see. So this is going to be FFE 1056. Oops. Cool. 1056 feet. Perfect. So we're going to have 55 here, so all the water is going to be sloping away from the building. This distance here is roughly 27 feet. We'll probably have this guy at about 55.2, something like that. Just roughly ballpark it at 55. Got another 55 there. Okay. And this guy for this building, we're going to have to do the same thing. We're going to draw a contour all the way around the edge. This looks a little excessively accurate. I'm going to draw it to the end point of that guy, all the way to the end point of here. Okay, back around to this corner. Close that guy, bring it to the front. It's probably going to be on a 2-foot contour, so let's go ahead and do that. Same thing here. It's 1056 roughly around the entire top. So we've got this 56 over here. We're probably going to want about 55 here, and that gives us about 10-ish feet to play with. So if our FFE is at 55.5, that's half a foot over 10 feet, which is about 5%. That's a pretty steep cross slope for this, what looks like a drive-through. So we might actually have to raise this guy up closer to 55.5. So it might be 55.2, so it's 0.3 feet over 10 feet. That would give us, about a 3% slope. So we'll set this guy at a solid 55.2. Give us a 2% cross slope. And this drive-through should be fine, at least for now. So we'll go ahead and set that at 10, 55.2. This guy's actually higher up than this building, so does that make sense? Yeah. 10, 55.2. And then just looking at this guy, we can check out our elevation right about here is 1052, so we're sloping down as we're coming along here. So this 1055.2 is going to be, let's say, 52 there. That's going to be super steep right here, so it's probably not going to work. Yeah, 3 feet, over 3 feet to drop. Over 20 feet is not quite good, but we're going to come back to that in just a minute. So we might have a low point right here in the middle, or a low point right here to take on water. So let's think about how far is this distance? 10 feet. A foot drop over 10 feet would be 10%. That's a little steep. It's probably going to be an entrance over here. So this would probably have to be. Also, this is a 1048 contour running right here, so it's almost 10 feet of fill right there, which would definitely be a little excessive. So we're probably gonna have to drop this FFE down to about 10. Let's do 1050. Apply it there. Oops. Good grief. 1050 FFE there. So set this at 1053. Try not to change anything. Cool. So if we got a 1050 there, then probably right around here would have to be 49. All right, that'd be a foot of drop over 10 feet, which would be about 10%. So this would actually have to be a little bit higher. So what we're probably gonna have to do is have a low point right here in the middle, and then this will be about 35 feet from the building. So a foot over 35 feet is 2.8%, about 3%, which is fine. So that'll be 49. And then from this guy, it's 4 feet over about 52 feet. So 4 over 52. It's about a 7.5% slope. So it's still a little bit steep, so we can probably raise this guy up. Or lower FFEs. We're just going to go ahead and lower FFEs. So we're going to drop this down to 49.5. We can adjust this again a little bit more later, and then we can lower this guy down to probably 52. So a 3 foot drop over 52 feet would be about 5.5 to 6%, which is probably fine. Okay, so we're gonna have a low point here essentially, and then we're going to have, what are we at right here? 1044. So here's our 44. Okay, and then if we did about a 10%. 10% slope, it'd be 2 feet over 20. So we have a 20 foot radius circle, and then our 46 would be about here. Excuse me, 46. Another 20 footer. Be 48 there. Okay, and then our 49's up here, so we can definitely probably have her peak at about a 50. That'd be super steep though. So if we wanted 5%, we'd have to do a 40-foot. So let's do circle, 40-foot circle, and we'd have a 46-foot right here. And a 46-foot there. Okay, and these two 40-foots for 5% would be a 48 there and a 48 there. Okay. Okay, and then from these low spots to the buildings, we've got 48 to this building is 37 feet. It's 1.5 over 37 feet is about 4%, which is fine. Okay, so 49.5. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete some of these guys. And we should have room to do a, let's see how much space do we have here at the top, to do a 2-to-1 slope here at the top. So we've got 16 feet. So for our 2-foot contours, we can just go ahead and drop 4 feet, roughly like that. Okay, and we're at, here is the 56. So essentially what we're going to have is the 56 is going to get pulled up. Excuse me, I gotta grab this guy. 56 is going to get pulled up along the top, so we're going to have a 56, 54, 52. Okay. And a 50. Alright, and that same kind of slope's going to run all the way across the top over here. Yep. Okay. And then from here, we should be able to drop down a 49 quite easily. So it'd be only 1 foot, so it'd be 20 feet from this 48. Would be a 49. Okay, and we'll have a 49 essentially all the way around. About here, from the corner of the building, which is 49.5. 2.5% slope, well, 49-ish there, about a 3% cross slope. From here, we want to go down. We're gonna have to go down and back up. So really would be best. The lowest we can get this guy to is 50. So if we raised our FFE up to 50.5, 50.5, this will be our low point at 50. Okay, and then we would, we'd probably have to raise this guy up even a little bit more, 50.8 maybe. Right, and then we'd have a 50.5 here between. So our 50s here. Okay, go up 2 feet over 40 feet, give us our 5%. All right, and then we'd have 50s essentially run all the way around the edge. $50, $50. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a slope arrow really quick. Let's see here, slope arrow. Okay, everything's going to be sloping away from the building. Okay, same deal with the low point here, so 50.8 and then the 48 here. Probably have 5% slope going this way, so if we move our 48 up to about right there, about 53 feet. So this guy's also going to have to be close to 1051. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to have kind of 1050 wrapping around. Where's that 56 go? Ties in right there. Okay. Okay, keep drawing our circles to use as a reference. 40. Well, so we can go a little bit farther than that. Drop a 48 right there as a low point. This guy might even be a 49. Okay, so we're going to have inlets right here at a low point, right here at a low point, right here at a low point. So we're going to have 49 up here in the corner. Okay. And this area over there might be room to fit another development, might not be. But we'll just drop in some more spots over there. So we can just use these circles and use some quick slope calculations and these blocks to drop in conceptual spots. We're going to have a pretty steep slope here up on the north side, just to flatten out our actual working area as much as we can. Hopefully, when we get into the nitty-gritty, we won't find out that we need a wall, but yeah, we want to define where we want our low points for our inlets, whether they're going to be along the curb, whether they're going to be in the middle of drive aisles. We're going to set FFEs for our buildings, and then just kind of work from there. So now we've got a feature line with elevations along a bunch of different points. We've got a bunch of spot elevations, right? For these conceptual preliminary plans, we don't really need any contours besides the one contour going around the building for the FFE. So now we've got the FFE of the buildings. We've got a bunch of different spots, what the elevations might look like. We can see there's going to be a slope up here on the north end. We've got this feature line. We're pretty much set up to build a great conceptual takeoff in the future, and then we can build our surface, build our proposed grade surface to do that takeoff, and we can send these to clients to show them a quick conceptual. This is what you're going to be looking. This is what you're going to be looking at. You're going to have a slope up here on the north end. I'm going to go ahead and guess we might be doing a detention facility somewhere here in this open area. So that might be the case. If you know that's going to be the case, then you might go ahead and draw in maybe contours of a pond to show your client that you're going to be using a pond, or drop in some of these spots just to show that the pond's going to be there. But yeah. You really only need to use three things to do a good conceptual grading plan. You need these contours for the building FFE, these FFE labels, these elevation labels, and this feature line, and you're going to be able to do a good preliminary takeoff, which you'll see in another video, and you're going to have a good idea of what your grading is going to look like and set up your engineer to do a good grading plan in the future. So that's really all you need to do a good conceptual grading plan. Thanks.